Namaste, yogis. This is Stephen from YogaWorks, and what we're going to be doing today is a class called After a Long Trip. I just made the long journey back from Johannesburg to Mozambique here in Tofu, about 15 hours. We did split it up a bit, but you can imagine it's a lot of sitting. And I'm also sure that you probably spend a little bit too much time sitting at your desk, in your car, wherever it is. It's probably something we all um, overdo a little bit. So this is a little flow that I put together, just simply what I do after such a long time in the car or on a plane or whatever situation you've been in. The first pose I like to do straight away is downward facing dog. Sometimes, let's get into it. Sometimes they call this a whole yoga class in one single pose, and it's with good reason. It does a whole lot of things. First of all, it's a bit of an active pose. You can't really tune out in downward facing dog. Always requires a little bit of effort, of power through the arms and through the legs, a little bit of centeredness in the core, and just feel the push of your hands, feel the push of your feet. If it feels much better with the knees bent, I can totally understand it. So that's a good thing to do, especially if it gives you a bit more length in the spine. So find a version of down dog. You can put the feet a bit wider to start with. You can walk a bit closer if it feels nice to have your heels closer to the ground. That's all good. Now notice how nice and open the shoulders are in this pose because the arms are overhead. You've been sitting. It's very unlikely your arms are overhead for very much of the day. Also, we're upside down, so our head is hanging below the level of the heart, which is a nice change to how things are usually. You see the world like upside down from a different perspective. Your breath seems to go up, and your diaphragm is to push up into the abdominal cavity instead of down, which is a nice reversal of the relation to gravity, you could say. And then just a couple of times, inhale to plank pose and exhale back to down dog. Just alternate your own time. You can link it to the breath if that feels good. Today we're not really going to flow. It's a bit of more of a hatha practice. Do a bit of everything, a bit of spinal movement, a bit of hips, a bit of shoulders. And we'll stay quite low to the ground. We'll take it a bit easy. And then see if you can just arrive in these poses. And then for a moment, put the knees down and rest in child's pose just to give your arms a little break. And it's important to arrive, especially if you've just really come back from a long trip. With our modern ways of traveling, a car, a plane, we can do a huge distance over a short period of time, which can put you in a whole different location, time zone, culture, language, you name it. Can all change a lot, even in a single day of traveling. So it's important to give yourself a moment to just to arrive. In yoga, we arrive in every moment, in the body, in the breath, and in the mind. The mind doesn't usually like to arrive. It likes to go away. It likes to go off in a different direction. Good. Then just that step the right foot forward and into a simple lunge, the back knee down. And then just place the hands on the front knee. And again, take a moment to just arrive in a simple place. Allow the hips to feel heavy. We're sinking down towards the ground, this new terrain that you've just arrived in, if you've been traveling. And just feel like one leg goes this way, the other one goes the other way, and just getting a nice stretch and a grounded feeling in the middle. Couple of breaths here to settle into the pose. And then second version of the pose, place the fingertips down on either side of that right foot and start to straighten through the back leg. So we lift the back heel so it's above the base of the toes, lengthen the spine forward and up. And then with a super strong back leg, bend the front knee as much as you can until it stops. Nice. So it's also another version of a simple lunge, a little bit more active than the last one. But you'll find all these poses today, you'll be able to do them and take a few breaths. We're not straining things too much. It's already quite straining to be traveling. Good. And then downward facing dog, step back, take a breath or two, press the hands down. You can always pedal the legs out or do any other movements that feel good. And then step left foot forward, lower the right knee down. We're starting with the hands on the knee, on the front knee, and then just soften the hips forward and down until they stop. Nice open chest, front of shoulders. Stack the head lightly at the top of the spine. And take in your new environment, wherever you've just arrived. You might have just come home from work, but still, it's a different environment. Take a moment to arrive, to touch the ground underneath you, and to appreciate the space that you find yourself in at the moment. A couple of slow, easy breaths. Notice where you feel a little bit stuck, a little bit. You could use a little bit more space in the body. And then that simple lunge, fingertips down on either side of the left foot. Tuck the back toes under, lift the right knee, and then straighten the right leg all the way. So do your best to lift that quad up towards the sky. And then once that back leg is super strong, bend the front knee until it's enough. So you should feel a bit of work in that left outer hip, as well as a bit of strength in that back leg. Now the spine, just don't collapse it on that front thigh. Make it a bit light and long. And as always, let's move a couple of breaths through the shape of the pose. That's a good method to use in our yoga practice. Good, and then sit back, downward facing dog, press through the hands, press the thigh bones back towards the end of the mat. Good, and then step right foot forward again, just like we've done before. Now come onto fingertips, and this time lower the left knee down and lift it up. And just repeat that a couple of times, nice and gentle. And we're trying to move slowly so that we give ourselves a chance to ground in this place to arrive here. This is a great one, I find, to open the front of that back legs, hip, get a bit into the quads and the hip flexors without adding a lot of strain again. If you want a little bit of a bigger stretch, you can place hands on the front knee and go up and down. And as you've lifted the torso now, it's going to be a bit of a bigger stretch in the front of that left hip behind you there. So that feels good, do that. If it felt better with the hands down, you can stay there. Good, and then downward facing dog. We'll just use our down dog as an in-between pose to reset, take some breaths. After each round or each pose, take a moment to take it in. Left foot forward, come onto fingertips, juice up the back leg, and then start to bend the right knee, lower it gently to the ground, and lift it back up. A couple of times, gently touch down and lift. Repeat this a few times. And then try to keep your mind with whatever it is you're doing at the moment. If you're drifting off, that's fine. Just know that you're drifting off, and then see if you can come back to the simple movement, the breath you're taking, or maybe some new sounds in your environment that you have arrived in. For me, it's the Indian Ocean here in the background. After the city of Joburg, this is nice. This is very nice. Good. I forgot to say you can place hands on the front knee to go up and down and increase that angle for the right hip flexors, the quads. But you don't need to. You don't have to take all these options. Good. Downward facing dog. We're stepping back. Take a moment. Take it all in. Maybe a deeper breath. Maybe a side breath out. Good. And then right foot forward, left knee down. This time we're going to go back with that right hip. In the process, lift the right toes. And then go forward again, rebend the right knee. And then move the right hip back. And rebend the front knee. Repeat this a couple of times, just back and forth. Now we're getting more into the back of that right leg, your hamstrings, the calves as well, if you're lifting the toes. And as always, you don't need to straighten that right knee. You might, if it feels good, if your body is allowing that easily, that's fine. But if you stop a little bit earlier and your right knee's still a bit bent, that's also good, as long as you feel a bit of space in the back of the right leg as you go back. Then you're doing it perfectly. Maybe 1 or 2 more times. Nice. Good, and then step back. Downward facing dog, press the hands down, press the feet down. Deep breath in. Open the mouth, sigh the breath out. Good, everyone step the left foot forward. Lower the back knee, your right knee down. I usually wiggle the right knee a little bit back, it's just a better distance, so that when I go back, my right hip is more or less above that right knee, and then rebend the front knee. Just go back and forth a few times, adjust the distance as needed, and just stretch the back of that left leg as you go back. Whatever that looks like for you, that's fine. Keep the spine a little bit long, we don't want to round too much. You don't need to lie down on the front leg, you can just lengthen the spine forward and up instead. And then, as we did before, just a couple of breaths. Figure out when it's easier if you inhale and when is it easier to exhale. What does the movement call for? For me, exhale is better as I straighten the leg. Inhale as I come forward. But it might be the opposite for you. Last one, inhale forward, exhale back. Good, downward facing dog, step back. Take a deep breath in. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Good, now step the feet a little bit closer. Reach your right hand to his left lower leg. Hold the lower leg there somewhere, or your ankle perhaps. Then twist to look under that left arm. You can bend that right elbow a bit if you get space. Couple of breaths. Keep pushing that left hand down on the mat. And then switch sides, right hand down. Left arm under to the outside of that right leg. If you can't reach them, just walk a bit closer until it's available. And take a few breaths. Feels so good to turn the rib cage to the side. Press that right hand down to lengthen the heels down towards the mat. And then left hand down. Now step your right foot outside your right hand, so quite wide. Lower the left knee down. And then turn the right toes out at an angle. Now keeping most of the right foot down, just press, gently press the inside of the right knee away with your right hand. And with your upper body, lean in the opposite direction. So my knee goes right, my chest goes left. And I'm gently leaning back. Okay, we'll do a few versions of this pose. This is lizard pose, a really good bit of hip work. Now, the second one, release that knee, Walk both of your hands over to the left top corner of your mat and just press the hands down, especially that right hand, and breathe some space under that right arm there. Slow breath in, side breath out. Good. Last version of this lizard pose, hands inside the right foot, lengthen the spine forward, and then bend the elbows a little bit until it's enough for you. You can stop at any point. Maybe if elbows come down and it feels good, then that's a good option. But if that feels like a strain or it's just not happening today, then that's fine. Some of these poses, when you just came out of the car, might be a bit too much. You might have to back off and just work within your capacity at the moment. Just taking into account you just had a long trip or a long day at the office, and it's enough. It means a lot that you came to your mat. You don't have to prove anything gigantic. You never do, actually. Good. Let's step back. Downward facing dog. Feel the left leg, feel the right. It feels good to move. You can always do that in between, of course. And then, as we've been doing, slow breath in. Exhale out through the mouth. Nice. Left foot outside the left hand. Right knee down. Nice. Turn the left toes a bit out. They might be off your mat. That's fine. Don't worry about it. And then left hand gently presses that left knee out. Notice I'm not letting that left foot lift too much, otherwise you sometimes get this funny kink in the ankle. It just doesn't look good. So I'd prefer if you keep this a bit solid. Nice. As before, you can lean a bit back. It feels nice. A little twist, a little side body stretch. Another deep breath here. Good. And then both hands over to the top right corner of your mat. Turn the chest down to the mat and then press that left hand down to get a nice side stretch on the left side. Slow the breath down as much as you can. There's already enough rush and going from one thing to the next in our daily lives, so we don't have to bring that quality of rush to the yoga mat as well. Especially if you've been traveling, the nature is really going from one point to the other. So it's good to slow down. Good, come to the middle, maybe elbows down, or maybe any other version of the pose, maybe hands down, little bend in the elbows, and pause. Just soften down, let the pose do the work, let your breath do the work. Take a little moment to tune in. Good, come back up onto the hands. Downward facing dog, step back. Nice, let's do another version of down dog. This time we'll just turn the right heel into the middle, almost like you're going to do warrior one on that right foot, and then bend the left knee quite a bit. Nice, that's it. Lift the right hip up and back, and then lean the right hip over to your backside, towards your left foot. Bit of a hard pose to explain. There's a lot going on, but when you get it, it's such a good side stretch, especially if you keep pushing that right hand down. You breathe under that right arm. One more breath here. Good, and then swap sides. The right knee is going to bend a lot. Left foot will come into the middle like warrior one, if you know what I mean. And then I'm pushing the left hand down. I'm starting to lean the hips over to the right, so back behind me as I'm turning to look under that left arm. Keep the breath soft, keep the hands rooted down. Another breath or so here, and then back to downward facing dog. Slow breath in and slow breath out. Good, let's step right foot forward, but not too far, not all the way forward. Lower the left knee down. So now I've got a bit of a short lunge. You can adjust the distance, pull it in if you need to. We've got a bit of a square shape under that front knee. Nice. Hands to hips. Gently lengthen the back of the buttocks down and lift the front hips a little bit up. So that's a great way to get into the front of this left hip, which likely has been quite compressed if you've been sitting or traveling for a while. Then just make sure that the hips are quite level. You can check with your hands. For me, the right hip here with the bent leg tends to hike a bit if I don't watch out. So I'm doing my best to keep it a bit lower. Nice. And then one more thing, press the left knee down and create the action of pulling it forward to get some good engagement in the front of that left hip and thigh. Good. Now we can add the arm, place the right hand to right knee, lift the left arm up and lean the left arm over the head towards the ocean, I was going to say, but towards your right side, let's just say. There's a chance that the ocean is there. I can see there's also a chance the ocean is not there. Good. Because if you walk far enough, there's always an ocean, isn't it? You'll reach it close at some point. Good. Come back up. One more variation. Bend the left arm, hold the back of the head on the right, and then lean back, stretching your elbow up. Good. Slowly release. Hands down, downward facing dog. Like before, slow breath in, slow breath out. Every time we do this, arrive in this place a little bit more. Good, then a little step forward to your left foot, right knee comes down. Align the right hip above the right knee, hands to the hips. Now the left hip is likely to hike up a bit. Do your best to level it out. Your hands can give you feedback. Then lengthen the buttocks down and the front of the hips up. Nice. Ground down through this right knee. And then a little bit of pulling forward with that knee on the mat, even though there's not going to be any movement. A couple of breaths. The front of that right hip, we're inviting it to expand, to breathe in some space. Good. And left hand, left knee. The right arm straight up, and then start to lean it over the head towards the left side. Keep the front of the rib cage in. Keep the right knee pressing down, and breathe. If some of these poses are a little bit intense, just back off a bit and work within like an easy range. And then bend that top arm and reach up through the elbow. Slightly different because we're getting triceps as well as those muscles in the arm here. So you can always push your head up and back into the hand as it feels good. And then release, hands down, downward facing dog. Slow breath in. And exhale, side breath out. Well done. Lower the knees, lower the elbows, maybe clasp the hands or make prayer hands, or you can turn the palms down. We're going to set up for dolphin poses to open the shoulders a little bit more. Walk the feet a little bit in and lift the hips high. Keep pressing your elbows down and let the head just relax between your biceps, between the upper arms. Good. Lower your knees. Right arm threaded under the left armpit. Lower the side of your head down, and then with that left arm, just wrap around your lower back. Couple of easy breaths here. Soften down towards the ground. Keep the face relaxed, the breath relaxed. Good. Going off to the second side, push up with the hands. This time, left arm goes under the right. The right arm, you can wrap it around the hips if you want. And just take a few breaths in this spinal twist. It's a nice one to get into your upper back a little bit more. And then slowly come back to the center, sit back onto the heels. Look a quarter to the right, and then lower your chin down towards your right shoulder. With the right arm, wrap around the head until the back of the neck on the left side. And then with the hand, I'm just giving gentle pressure at the back of the head. And with the head, I'm lifting up into the hand. Couple of breaths here. We're giving the neck a bit of attention. One of the spots that forever seems a little bit worked up, a little bit too tight, a little bit out of balance in it. And then release that. Look a quarter to the left. Lower the chin down. Wrap your left arm. And the same thing with the head. Give a little push up into the hands. And then with the hand, just give a bit of weight to the back of the head. Relax that opposite shoulder. And you should feel a deep stretch in the back of the neck going down towards the shoulder blades. Good. Slowly release. Interlace your hands behind the back of the head. Open your elbows wide and lean the head back as you lift the chest. Let's move the shoulders back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you. Open the elbows wide, and you can arch your back so the whole spine gets a nice back bend, a nice bit of space in the front. Broaden the chest in front of the shoulders. One more deeper breath in. Exhale, side breath out. Good. Coming to cactus arms. Bring the left elbow on top of the right. Yes. You can either hold opposite shoulders or bring the hands closer together for eagle arms. Little squeeze at the elbows. Make sure the elbows are quite high. You're not dropping them all the way down. And lift the hands a bit away from the face. Good. One more breath. Broaden the upper back. And then cactus arms open up just to switch sides. Right elbow on top of left. You know the options. You can hold opposite shoulders, or you can wrap the arms so that the palms touch. Lift the elbows a bit. Hands move forward away from the face. And then the most important thing, squeeze the forearms and the elbows into each other. And you should feel the inner border of your shoulder blades. It's a nice stretch for that area. Slowly release. A couple of times, roll the shoulders around. Nice. Come to line your belly for cobra pose. Hands under the shoulders, roll the shoulders back, and then lift the heart. Any amount, you can keep it as low or as high as you want, but keep the elbows in, keep the shoulders down. One more breath. And slowly lower down. To locust pose. Hands behind the lower back. Reach your toes back. Lift everything up. Your head, your chest, your arms, your legs. One more breath. And slowly lower down. Nice. Bring your left elbow to 90 degrees outside the left shoulder. With the right arm, push away so you can roll onto your left side. I like to lean back with that right leg a little bit, just have some weight on the opposite side. And with the left hand, I'm gently pushing down to give a bit of activation in the front of that left shoulder. This one is golden after such a long time seated. The front of your shoulders. It's gonna thank you. Roll back your belly. Same thing, second side, right elbow. You can't see it behind me, but it's the same thing we've been doing. Right elbow around the height of your shoulder. I'm pushing with the left hand to roll on my right side. Left leg can lean back, or you can put that foot down behind you. And I'm giving a little push with the right hand on the floor. Let the head relax, let the breath slow down. We'll consider this our Shavasana. Sort of. It's really hard to do proper Shavasana in a half-hour class.
I feel like there's too much I want to teach in a half hour, but I would definitely recommend to take a few minutes afterwards to get your rest in. Or maybe this is just your warm up and you're doing a whole other class. This is a nice idea. If you have a bit more time, roll onto your back, plant your feet, and let the knees just go straight up to the ceiling. Constructive rest pose. Such a good pose to settle all the muscles around the spine, to relax the tissues around the hips, the legs, relax inner thighs, pelvic floor, hip flexors. Everything is in a bit of a neutral, carefree position here. It should allow you to just rest back and enjoy your new environment. Good. I'm going to sign off. If you want to just keep lying in constructive rest, it's a great idea. Otherwise, you need to run, then I also understand. Bring your hands together at the heart. Touch your hands to your forehead, to your heart center, and bow to yourself on the mat. Namaste, yogis. Thank you so much for practicing. Thanks for making the time to take care of your body and not just rushing around and not just traveling and working, but you came to your mat. You did some general maintenance for the hips and shoulders. I hope it felt amazing, and I hope to see you here again soon. Take good care.